hobbies include Boy Scouts, singing, and listening to music.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grace Jenkins will provide an inspirational reading. Grace is an 8th grader at Poquoson Middle School. She is a member of the Student Council Association, Art Club, Student Concerned with Restoring Our Environment Club, and Builders Club. Grace's hobbies include helping others, baton, and making crafts.
Okay. A well-known speaker started off his seminar by holding up a $20 bill. In a room of 200, he asked, "Who would like this $20 bill?" Hands started to go up. He said, "I'm going to give this $20 bill to one of you. But first, let me do this." He proceeded to crumble up the $20 note. He then asked, "Who still wants it?" Still the hands went up in the air. "Well," he replied, "what if I dropped it and grounded it into the ground and picked it up and said, 'Now who still wants it?'" Still the hands went in the air. My friends, you have all learned a very valuable lesson. No matter what I do to the money, you still want it because it did not decrease in value. It is still worth $20. Many times in our lives, we are dropped, crumpled, and ground into the dirt by the decisions we make and the circumstances that come our way. We feel as though we are worthless, but no matter what happened or what will happen, you will never lose your value.
Poquoson Middle School welcomed author Margaret Peterson Haddix on Wednesday, October 12, 2016. It was an amazing celebration of books and reading.
Poquoson Middle School holds 2 book fairs and sponsors 3 dances each year to raise funds for author visits and for other activities in our library.
Ms. Haddix is the author of 38 books for children and teens, and her books have been featured on the New York Times bestseller list. Ms. Haddix's books have also won the International Children's Book Award and numerous state awards. They have been translated into more than 20 languages.
Students at Poquoson Middle School prepared for the author visit by reading various titles by the author, such as Among the Hidden and Found. Some of the students even shared Ms. Haddix's books with visiting therapy dogs.
Here's what our special day with the author was like.
During first period, 3 English classes competed in a Kahoots quiz show about Ms. Haddix's books. Students used iPads and computers to answer questions in a fun game show format. Ms. Curtis's, Ms. Lance's, and Ms. Purdy's first period classes participated.
During second period, all students went to the auditorium to hear a wonderful speech that the author presented about writing. Students were able to ask Mrs. Haddix questions at the end of her speech.
Third period was filled with autographing. Also, Poquoson Middle School newspaper staff interviewed Ms. Haddix for a feature article in our school newspaper. Ms. Alexander's third period civics class came to the library for a meet and greet with the author, where they asked her how she got her ideas for Among the Hidden, a book about a totalitarian government. Students entered a drawing, and 5 were selected to win free books by the author.
During fourth period, a special author visit lunch bunch was held during both lunch period A and lunch period B. All students were invited to bring their lunch to the library and discuss the author's books while the author autographed copies. Students attending received free cookies from the Poquoson Middle School PTO. 230 students attended this event.
During fifth period, 3 English classes met in the library for a creative writing seminar with the author. Students got tips on writing about characters and plot and practiced some creative writing using these tips. Miss Harris's, Miss Lance's, and Miss Purdy's fifth period classes participated.
More students came to the library to get their Margaret Peterson Haddock's books autographed during sixth period. Also, Miss Curtis's sixth period class was selected to come to the library for a special question and answer session with the author.
At 7th period, we ended the day with an additional creative writing seminar in the library for 3 more English classes. Students got tips from the author about characters and plot and wrote a story involving 5 items of their choice: a bag of gummy bears, a sweatshirt, a vest that looked like a life preserver, a calculator, and some earbuds. Mrs. Harris's, Mrs. Lance's, and Mrs. Ward's 7th period classes participated.
Poquoson Middle School Library Media Center promotes lifelong reading for enjoyment and enrichment.
Students at Poquoson Middle School enjoy the author visits and are inspired to keep reading.
Here are some student quotes.
My favorite part of Margaret Peterson Haddock's visit was being able to participate in my writing in the seminar.
My favorite part of the author visit was when I got to go and get writing tips, 7th period. Miss Haddock's is super sweet and super funny, and I love her books. I hope she can come to Poquoson Middle School again.
My favorite part was getting my book autographed.
My favorite part of Ms. Haddock's visit was the creative writing session in 5th period. I found it both helpful and inspiring.
My favorite part of Margaret Peterson Haddock's visit was when she was telling us the stories that led up to the ideas for her books.
Thank you to Poquoson Education Foundation for awarding grant funding to help purchase copies of Miss Haddock's books.
Do we have any additions or modifications When do you have time to study?
It was just hard to put back and forth those times. It would just print mine.
A wonderful family. Okay, we'll come back to order, and we will start off with the financial update. Ms. Woodruff, would you come forward with the update, please?
Good evening, Chairman Cass, members of the school board, and Dr. Parrish. For the finance report this evening, I want to review the Impact Aid program with you. Impact Aid is one of our federal funding sources included in the budget. The Impact Aid law was enacted in 1950 and is now Title VIII of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965. This is a U.S. Department of Education program that provides financial assistance to local school divisions to compensate for lost local revenue due to tax-exempt federal property or increased expenditures for federally connected students. Poquoson City Schools receives basic support payments and payments for children with disabilities for federally connected children. Those are students whose parents or legal guardians are either active duty military, employed by the government, or who work on federal property. And those who work on federal property include if you're a contractor, subcontractor, or other private business working on there. To be eligible for this funding, a school division must educate at least 400 federally connected children, or they must make up at least 3% of the school division's total average daily attendance. This funding is distributed based on the percentage of a school division's federally connected population, and this funding becomes part of the general operating budget and supports instructional activities for all the students. So we have already included this in our FY17 plan budget, and we included $145,000 in Impact Aid funding that we anticipate. Annual reporting must be completed by January to support the funding for the following fiscal year. And in order to determine eligibility based on the number of federally connected students enrolled in our schools, an annual Impact Aid survey form is sent home. This year, the form will be sent home with each student on November 2nd. And Impact Aid does require that a separate form be completed for each student. So if you have more than one child at home, you will be receiving more than one form. This form should be completed and returned to your school by November 9th. And we really appreciate everyone taking the time to complete these forms to assist us in our efforts to secure this federal funding for our schools. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Are we 3% or 400 students?
We have had on average, about 600 students. So we are about 28%.
Wow,
So
great.
there's a lot
If
of
I can
federal.
interject, those students have also helped us get the DODEA grants that we have received for 3 different areas for our school division. So on top of the Impact Aid, also from the Department of Defense, it's provided us some great funding.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Woodruff. Mr. Pappas, would you come forward with the operations update, please?
Good evening, Chairman Cass, School Board, and Dr. Parrish. In the area of food services, in compliance with federal government regulations, free and reduced meal benefits for students are extended for the first 30 days of each school year if they were awarded benefits in the preceding year. That 30-day period ended Monday, October 17th. And while the automatic extension for 15-16 benefits has concluded, families and students may apply for benefits at any time throughout the year, and forms are readily available at school. In the area of safety, the statewide earthquake drill, known as the Great Virginia Shakeout, is scheduled for this week. All PCP schools will participate. and most of them will do it on the 20th. We also do tornado and other drills throughout the year. In the area of maintenance, phase 1 of the track project is actually underway as we speak. This phase removes a buildup of vegetation around the perimeter, both inside and outside of the track, as well as on the field, the long jump and other track event areas. The goal here is to reestablish positive drainage to existing drains, and it takes about a week to complete, and then we'll move on. That concludes my operations report.
Thank you. Any questions?
Approximately how many children do we have with reduced and free lunch?
I'll have to get back. I'll have to get back.
All right.
Any other questions? Mr. Pappas, thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Fox, would you come forward with the instructional update, please?
Good evening, Chairman Cast, Vice Chair Hux, members of the board, and Dr. Parrish. My instructional update this evening continues our fall data review to include AP and SAT data, as well as updates on different assessments and their changes for the 2016-2017 school year. All right, I'm going to, it's not the right PowerPoint. So if we could give him just a second to grab the right one.
But we are happy to see that we're still fully accredited.
Yes, that has not changed.
How many school divisions are there in the state?
132.
All right, thank you guys. There we go. Okay, so starting tonight with AP, thank you, advanced placement courses. Last year we had 19 different courses being offered to our students, and they took over 300 exams. AP courses were taught at Poquoson High School, online through the Virtual Virginia program, and also at the Governor's School. And these courses are advanced weighted level courses, college level courses that students elect to take the exam in May. From those exams, students who scored a 3 or higher in all 19 of those different courses, 86% of our students scored a 3 or higher, which is fantastic. That is an increase of 11 percentage points from the year before. As you can see, the state of Virginia, the rate was 66%, and globally it was 64%. So we are continuing to outpace our counterparts both statewide and globally. Switching gears to our SAT. Again, you'll see that we are outpacing the state average and the national average for the SAT, and this data is inclusive of students who were seniors last year and who took the SAT prior to the new one in March of 2016. So again, you'll see that we are above the state average and the national average. And then just a few assessment updates for you based on some things that are taking place across the state that we are mandated to do. So recently you've heard about the new math standards. They were revised over the course of the last year and a half. The state did formally approve those standards in September. So now we are in the process of working with our teachers to put those new standards into the curriculum. The first time, however, that students will see an SOL assessment with those revised standards will not be until 2018 and 19. So that gives us a couple of years to work through getting the revisions into our curriculum. Computer adaptive testing, or CAT testing as you'll hear it referred to very often, is an assessment that's customized for every student. How a student responds to a question determines the difficulty on the next item. A correct response leads to a more difficult item, while an incorrect response results in the selection of a less difficult item for the student. This year, grades 3, 4, and 5 reading will also be administered using the CAT format, and grades 4 and 5 math. So for us, that means that we have grades 3 through 8 mathematics. All of those students will be taking their assessments through the CAT format, and grades 3, 4, and 5 reading will also be taking it with the CAT format this year. The new SAT that we just referenced a few minutes ago was administered for the first time in March of 2016. This contains some additional evidence-based reading and writing sections, which include vocabulary and context rather than in isolation. So many of us may have taken it where we had those analogies. Now the vocabulary is embedded in the reading portion. Students can also complete an optional essay portion if they wish. And new as well is that a student can guess on the SAT, and there's no penalty now for guessing. And finally, the College Board has also updated the curriculum for several courses, and those are shown here for AP Calculus AB, AP Calculus BC, and AP World History. And so our teachers are working to put that piece of the curriculum into play for those students as well. So that ends my report this evening.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. When you were discussing the CAT testing, you were talking about if they didn't answer a question correctly, it would go down to a lesser difficult question. If they get that question correct, does it go back up? Does it continue, or does it stay at that same level?
It will meet the child's level, so if they get it incorrect and they go back down, if they get that one correct, it'll go up to another level. So it's responsive to the child throughout the test.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Any other questions or comments? Dr. Fox, thank you very much. Do we have any public comment tonight, Ms. Reimers?
No, sir, we do not.
Thank you very much. Vice Chairman Hux, would you lead us in the consent agenda, please?
Mr. Chairman, we have 5 items on the consent agenda. Item A, approval of minutes of September's regular meeting and work session. Item B, approval of financial reports. Item C, approval of personnel action. Item D, authorization to change appropriations and to accept and expend funds in accordance with attached request. And item E, authorization to dispose of surplus property.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Ms. Reimers?
Ms. Whitaker? Aye. Ms. Rollins? Aye. Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Hux?
Aye.
Chairman Cass?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, moving on to other matters. Item A, consideration of approval of the boundary line agreement and quitclaim deed and authorization for superintendent to sign such agreement and deed between the school division and Shackelford's Dandelion LLC. Dr. Parrish.
Yes, you've got a detailed reading file about this, but for the community's sake who may be watching on TV, a little history. The boundary line for the Poquoson Elementary School, which is not the building that our students are in now, but the previous building, was created in 1953, and that separated the school division property from all the adjacent homeowners. On November 27th, 1985, a plat for a parcel that is now known as Shackelford's Dandelion LLC was created using all the normal surveying techniques that would be used to survey property, and it actually changed that boundary line, and by changing that boundary line, it converted a small piece of the property that was school division property to the homeowner, but the homeowner, knowing that the survey had been done appropriately, went ahead in good faith and applied and received a permit to build a barn structure on their property that was based on that new boundary line. Well, the current owner is now trying to sell the property in the home, and in going to do that, uncovered the disparity between the boundary lines that were in the plat that was done in 1953 and the plat that was done in 1985. We have worked with your school board attorney on this, and what we're asking you to do is to approve the boundary line agreement that in essence says it's okay that your structure's built there. We're just backing the boundary line up to what it was, what was done in 1985. I put in here, we have in here the parcel of property is 0.06657 of an acre, so know that we're not talking about a big piece of land, but rather than having the homeowner tear down the structure that's on the back of their property, if you would approve the agreement here in very legalese language, quitclaim deed, if I could sign that, then that person actually will have a plat that shows the inclusion of that piece of property. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for approval to allow Dr. Parrish to sign the quitclaim deed. So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question, just out of curiosity, what size is that? I don't know what .066 of an acre is. Is it 2 inches, is it 12 feet square?
It's
It's
probably
a
about 10
small
yards,
piece of property,
right?
but I'll bring Steve up to the mic because he's obviously looked at it on the documents.
It's about 33 feet in one direction and about, I think it's 89 feet in the other direction. So it's a small wedge.
By 89?
And I'm assuming it is not anything we could ever do anything with either, so it would make no sense for us not to do this.
It's beyond where we have the concrete swale.
Yes.
There's a grassy area between the concrete swale and all of those properties, and it's right in there. So it doesn't touch the concrete swale that we need, and I don't see any use for that.
Right.
If we did any additional construction, what we would need is that field in front of the elementary school, and it doesn't touch upon that because that concrete swale is on that back side of that.
Did we have any other surveys done at the same time of other properties? And if we have any other surveys, do we need to look them over just to make sure that something similar hasn't occurred with the others?
We haven't done, when this came to us, we had this surveyed so that we would know that in fact there was this issue and that we really felt like we needed to convert that land. There was obviously, there are land plats out there that show, other surveys that have been done, but we haven't surveyed all the other homeowners' properties, as a result of this. I mean, I'm not sure that.
This one's this just glaringly showed up when they present their plat.
Right.
And it's just right there. So it's.
It just brings to mind the concern that this might have occurred at our other properties, just to make sure that this doesn't come up again before a future school board. That was my only thought, so.
We could do another survey of the elementary school property. This, I will tell you, this actually, this was prior to Mr. Pappas or I being here. This was noted when the new elementary school was built, but nothing was done about it at the time. That's what we've uncovered in the history. So there was surveying done when the elementary school was built across, goes across those homeowners' property, but it wasn't until her trying to sell that it was brought to our attention. But we can double check plats just to make sure that, it's not an issue, but I'd speculate that it's not because it wasn't noted for anybody else apparently when the elementary school was built.
Thank you.
Good question. I think Steve might have been here in 53, but. Any other questions? Ms. Reimers, can we take a vote, please?
Ms. Whitaker? Aye. Ms. Rollins? Aye. Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Hutz?
Aye.
Chairman Cass?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, item B, consideration of approval of textbooks adoption, Introduction to Health Sciences by Dorothy Winger and Susan Blanick. Dr. Parrish.
Yes, we're bringing forward you the approval of a textbook for our new health and medical sciences course. Those of you who were on the board last year remember that we were very excited to add our first health science course to the high school. So this is a textbook to support that. The first part of that course, there was not need for a textbook, so rest assured we've been instructing our students for the last 4 weeks of school, but we are getting to the point where we need it, and we did put this textbook through our formal adoption process, so it's been through the teachers out for public perusal and all of that. So we're asking that you approve this new Introduction to Health and Medical Sciences textbook for our course.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion for approval of Introduction to Health as for our textbook adoption? Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Ms. Reimers?
Ms. Whitaker? Aye. Ms. Rollins? Aye. Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Hessel?
Aye.
Mr. Hutz?
Aye.
Chairman Cass?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, moving on to item C, consideration approval of proclamation for School Psychology Week. November 14th through the 18th, 2016. Whereas all children and youth can learn with the proper support and have the inalienable right to an education that meets their needs. And whereas sound psychological principles are integral to instruction and learning, social and emotional development, prevention and early intervention, and supporting culturally diverse student populations. And whereas school psychologists facilitate collaboration and help parents and educators identify and reduce risk factors, promote protective factors, create effective, caring schools, access needed community resources, and implement research-driven prevention and intervention strategies. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this 18th day of October in the year 2016 by the School Board of the City of Poquoson, Virginia, that the week of November 4th through the 18th, 14th through the 18th, 2016 be hereby celebrated as School Psychologist Awareness Week in all Poquoson City Public Schools. Do I have a motion for approval of School Psychologist Week proclamation?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
There's just a typo.
The 14th to the 18th?
Yes.
Yes. I was going to turn and, so thank you for catching that.
We will get that fixed before we put that out there.
We don't want to proclaim it wrong.
No.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Reimers?
Ms. Whitaker? Aye. Ms. Rollins? Aye. Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Hetzel?
Aye.
Mr. Hutz?
Aye.
Chairman Cass?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Dr. Parrish, can you kick off communication for us, please?
Yes. First, I want to thank our community as well as our I know it probably added a little stress on our students and families as we were shifting things, so I just want to thank everybody for their understanding as we went to do that. Obviously, student safety was of our foremost concern. I also just want to reiterate the fact that we did receive the information from the state that we are not going to receive the funding for the state portion of the funding for our teacher raise. This year. For us, it's about $84,000. So staff right now is looking to see where we are going to find that funding because we are committed to maintaining the raises that we put into the budget for our teachers and for our staff. So I just want to reassure them, as I've done too in some other forums, that we're going to continue to pay that throughout the course of the year. I believe some of this we're going to be able to cover through enrollment. Just to give you a sense of where we are with that, we do have 24 less students than we had last year, so we have lost enrollment again this year, but we actually lost less than we anticipated, so we have 25 more students than we thought we would have, but I want everybody to understand it was still a drop in enrollment. But because we have more students than we thought we would have, some of that funding should help to offset the cost of the raise, but we are continuing to look to make sure we find the exact dollar amount for that. So those are my comments for this evening.
Thank you very much. Brody.
Here's our report from our schools. Primary school. Poquoson primary students have been busy this past month learning about safety. The preschoolers, kindergartners, and first graders all learned about fire safety and what to do in an emergency. The Poquoson Fire Department visited students and introduced them to fire safety and emergency preparedness. Poquoson primary students also practice safety drills within the building. Last month, the students practiced fire drills, lockdown drills, a bus evacuation drill, and tomorrow they will practice an earthquake drill. In the classroom and around the school, students practice being safe by following the school rules. 2 students from each classroom were recognized at the bucket filler breakfast for being safe by setting an example for all by following the school rules. Students at Poquoson Primary enjoyed learning about school and home safety this past month. Elementary school. PES kicked off our Bulls Don't Bully program last Monday with an assembly by the I Can Man. Students in 3rd grade adopted a small pumpkin to decorate and name. Each day, they wrote in a special journal about their pumpkin. Students had a great time and didn't even realize they were actually working on their writing skills. Students in 4th grade are working on repeated patterns in math, which means they are working hard on their multiplication facts. 5th graders are busy in writer's workshop composing a 5-paragraph expository essay. They have writer's workshop every day, which allows them to work on their writing skills. PPS and PES PTOs are working on the 3rd annual Trunk or Treat, which will be held at PES in the parking lot on October 27th at 6 p.m. Donations of candy are welcome, and the students say thank you. The middle school. After-school clubs have started, and after-school transportation is available for students on Mondays and Wednesdays. Poquoson Middle School will celebrate October 24th through the 28th through drug prevention education and by participating in school spirit days that are designed to promote a drug-free school. Monday, students will wear red to illustrate their pledge to be drug-free. Tuesday, students will show their spirit by wearing decorative socks to sock it to drugs. Wednesday, students will wear jerseys as they team up against drugs. Thursday, students will dress for success to coincide with the theme of being drug-free, focused on all of the things I want to be. We will conclude the week with students and staff wearing their school spirit wear, as PMS is proud to be drug-free. The Scholastic Book Fair will be held at PMS from November 2nd through the 10th. Roland Smith, an author that has written over 30 books and is also a nationally known research biologist, will be the featured speaker at a school-wide assembly on November 10th. Our Take a Stand, Lend a Hand bullying prevention program will focus on diversity, tolerance, gratitude, and the power of words with all students during the month of November. The high school. Poquoson High School is charging ahead with lots of exciting events happening both in and out of our classrooms. Despite a visit from Hurricane Matthew, the homecoming festivities were a success, with spirit days and activities planned by our student leaders. PHS recently hosted international visitors from the International Maritime Officers Course at a Coast Guard training center in Yorktown. These visiting maritime officers from across the world worked with our world language and social studies classes to enrich our classroom learning experiences. Our earth science classes hosted a mini science fair to emphasize the importance of scientific investigation and experimental design, while our marketing courses received a visit from a professor with the apprentice school, and our counseling department facilitated a financial aid workshop for students and families. Our PHS community is also celebrating the first conference golf championship in over 40 years, along with successful fall seasons underway for our other sports and activities. We have 2 ongoing awareness campaigns in full swing with bullying awareness and the Get It Together Buckle Up competition, both of which help promote our students in making positive choices for themselves and in their interactions with others. In a joint effort, the PHS teacher cadet students have crafted puppet shows and original children's stories to share messages of self-esteem and kindness towards others with students from the primary school. Be on the lookout for more incredible accomplishments from our students.
Thank you, Brody. Ms. Whitaker?
And I'll just have to ask that each of you use that. That's why we're passing it around. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no comments tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Rollins?
Nor do I.
No comment.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple comments. First, I'd like to thank all the students that participated in tonight's school board meeting, as well as congratulate the individuals that were recognized tonight, and also congratulate PHS golf team for their conference championship. I'd also like to give a brief overview of a WHRO meeting that I attended last week with Dr. Parrish. For those at home that are not aware what WHRO is, it's a public broadcast organization that provides radio, television, and educational services to the Commonwealth. It is owned by 19 public school divisions, with Poquoson City Public Schools being one of those. At the beginning of the meeting, we received a brief 2017 General Assembly review, as well as other division-specific information, such as an annual impact statement. If any of the other board members are interested in any of that information, I'll be glad to email it to you. But after the meeting, I stayed for a new member orientation, and we were also given a tour of the studio. In the orientation, we learned more about educator resources and online training. There were a couple of things that I found very interesting that I would like to share with the community. The first item was eMedia VA. This is a service provided by WHRO and also supported by the Virginia Department of Education. It's a one-stop shop for digital education content for Virginia's K-12 teachers and students. They recently released a version 3.0 that provides free access to parents and is directly correlated to the Virginia Standards of Learning. The website is www.emediava.org. The website currently offers 125,000 learning objects with new objects added daily. One of the things that caught my attention was at the orientation we were told about many online classes that included algebra, geometry, biology, chemistry, U.S. history, and many, many other topics. Recently, my daughter, who's a 9th grader at the high school, needed some additional help with geometry, and I had to Google to help her. And so when I got home from the meeting, I did go to the website, and I wanted to take a look. So I went to search, and I was able to use the filters to filter for mathematics, 9th grade geometry, and found the video that covered the specific topic that I had just helped her with. I was really excited and surprised to see that the video was not only educational, but it was entertaining, and it was very well produced. I can tell you that it will be a tool that we continue to use in our household, and I encourage families to take a look at the website because it is worth their time. And again, the website is www.emediava.org. The other thing that was mentioned at the WHRO meeting was that they will air live the Virginia Pilot Spelling Bee on February 18th, 2017. They did tell me that the middle school had registered, and we will have a student participating, so just mark your calendars, and as we get close to that, I'll remind everybody so they can watch. The next WHRO meeting will be held in December. I look forward to attending and reporting back to the board. No further comment.
Thank you very much, and thank you for serving. Ms. Helsom.
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no comment tonight.
Very good. Ms. Circus. Thank you very much. Do we have any material for board review?
We do not this evening.
Well, I believe we can adjourn this meeting.